Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Really Heal podcast. It's great to have you with us today. Today we have Mia, the Bog Fairy Emberwisp, the one and only, down in Offaly and attached to nature, but originally from Galway. So she's a Galway girl coming live with us today, and she's going to tell us everything about nature, plant life, and wildlife, and everything that works in and around that stuff. So I first came across Amberwisp on social media and instantly loved the videos. So, a very charismatic person and really in tune with what's going out in the wild. And, one of the things I suppose I would teach myself is grounding and what that looks like. And Mia really brings that to life. So, I'm delighted to have you with us today, Mia. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming on to the
Richard.
Really Feel podcast. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's lovely being here, and you make me feel so at ease. So you have that healing down, and I just when I'm with someone, I kind of just feel their energy as well. Do I don't know whether that sounds whatever, but I do. Yeah.
It's good.
So I'm feeling
Wouldn't be the
very
first
comfortable.
time I've
Thank
heard
you.
it. I'll take it as a compliment.
Good,
Eh,
good.
It's good. Good. Mia, we'll jump straight in. Bring us back. Tell us a little bit of your backstory, where you're from, and kind of bring us up to today.
Yeah, yeah. So well, I suppose I'll go back to the very, very beginning then. So I was born in a mother and baby home in Bessieburgh in County Cork, and then I was adopted into Galway. And actually, the place where I grew up in, was very like it's a place called Fairy Hill. So I've always had like this magic to do with fairies. My imagination is massive, and I was always a bit of a storyteller. Um, but I've always had such like I think being adopted as well. I always kind of didn't really know where I fit in, and then I used to go for really long walks in the forest, and I used to pretend, like as a kid, I'd pretend that I was like a fairy, or I pretend, I was going through these big long forest walks, and I would be just imagining everything and anything. So I would have brought the world of nature alive in my little head back then. And then we had this teacher in school who was brilliant. I don't think she taught us anything but like drama and just kind of like imagination. And I used to just literally write stories, and then I'd perform them in school, you know. And it was a lovely, lovely kind of school to go to,
Mm.
just with the all the imagination and all that. And then I went into secondary school, and it was completely different. Then, it was all there was no real imagination, at all. Uh, but I always had that love for nature, and I think things that have shaped me. Uh, like my mother was beautiful. She was so creative as well. So she was such a supportive person. Um, but like, yeah, then like secondary school happens, and it's all kind of squashed out of you a bit, all this imagination and magic. So
Yeah.
there should be a school for like people like us, with the wonder and imagination. I think it's a bit lacking at the moment, and I'd love to do a little forest school or something. It'd be great for the kids. But yeah, and then like the years go on, you lose touch with things, and you lose touch with nature and all that. And I never felt right, I went through a lot of different, like, there was addictions, there was this, that, and the other, but I think, I wouldn't change a bit because it's made me who I am, And
Mm.
then I arrived in Offaly, and I had my beautiful baby boy. And someone said to me, there's a bog down there, years ago. And I said, oh my God, I have to see this bog. This bog I have to really, really see. And I just spent about a month trying to get my way down there. I went through brambles and like literally like crawled through the forest to get to this beautiful bog. And then when I got there, it was just heavenly. And I suddenly felt at peace. And then, my love of I don't know, I'm just obsessed. I'm just absolutely obsessed about, like,
Can I,
wildflowers and
can I
things, yeah.
can I bring you back for a second? And you don't have to get too deep down into it, I suppose. But
Yeah,
I look at you today and I see everything that you do, I suppose. And I've had my own journey,
yeah,
and I suppose my own lived experience and my own life led me to do what it is that I do today.
yeah,
And um, on a completely different contrast to some degree, that's what I see you doing is giving back.
yeah,
What you realize what you've received and how you received it and what it does for you and what it means. But you touched on a couple of different things there, I suppose. So for anybody that's listening in and they hear a piece of your story, um, there's a few bits there that they go, oh my God, you know,
yeah,
uh, what does that look like? So, and you said something there. I was on a meeting I'm on a couple of groups, men's groups, and a gentleman was telling a story the other day, and he said, no matter where I went and no matter what I done, I never fitted in anywhere,
yeah,
and I got to share with him afterwards, and I said, it's not that you didn't fit in, it's that you felt you didn't fit in
yeah,
because that's our perception.
yeah,
So it wasn't that nobody accepted him or that he wasn't as cool as everybody else or that it wasn't any of that really. It was our
yeah,
own perception in our own mind. And that's kind of, I believe, is shaped within us from how we grow up. It's just our inner child and how we carry that into our adult life. But um, I suppose what I'd love you to tell me about is, and I'm not looking for any great detail of the bad bits, but the turning point. So obviously, because you touched on there was a bit of addiction and stuff like that. But after breaking point, what do you think the turning point was? What did it look like for you, and what was that piece like?
so I think you have to hit rock bottom, like,
Mm.
where there's no other option, like, not even that there's no other option, but that you feel just completely and utterly lost and
Yeah,
like you can't go on. And it's not only you, it's everyone around you, that, and you don't mean to be doing these things to yourself, It's just this it's a torture in itself, But I think the big turning point is that my need for getting better was stronger than my need for staying there, if you get me.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I had to. I There was not, oh, you have to do this,
yeah,
not in a like a chastising way. I was like, I can't like there the place where I had been was too bad to
mm,
go back to.
yeah,
So I had to go, like, anything was better than where I was, And
yeah,
I didn't want and of course, I had my son, and that was the turning point, you know, when my love for my son was so strong, and
mm.
that was it. Yeah. Just in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, like, I mean,
I I
you
love
know,
the I love the phrase by Gabor Mate. I've probably said this about 10 times on podcasts before. I love the phrase that he uses, not why the addiction, but why the pain.
yeah,
Um so the substance, whatever it may be, it's irrelevant really. It doesn't matter whether it's tiddlywinks or whatever the thing is. Um it's the solution, it's the perceived solution to the problem until it becomes a greater problem itself.
yeah,
Um and then begins the the journey of the inner self, finding oneself again, the true
yeah, and
self,
that's
the
exactly
authentic
where
self.
nature comes in.
Yeah. So talk me through that piece. What did that look like back then, and what does it look like for you today?
Um, so are you asking me, like, how I kind of got over
Yeah.
where I was? Yeah.
Mm.
So, like, we all, like, I've always been a really deep thinker. I really just need to know the meaning and what's going on. And these are the questions are constantly in my head, what's going on, and looking for, you know, my creator. And then I went into shamanism for a while, and I kind of didn't know what I was doing, but I was constantly just seeking answers.
Mm.
Um, and the beautiful thing is that it happened really, really naturally. Like just when someone says the bog is down there, and it was like I said, I just felt such peace. But then it's all about the journeys as well. So I
Or-
didn't really ask to go on these journeys. I just wanted to go see the bog. And
Yeah.
then the next thing, I was like looking at all these beautiful wildflowers and saying, and they started, all of them seemed to have like a pattern to me. Do you know how they looked, all their compounds, so like say, I did one on the shepherd's purse there the other day. So the shepherd's purse, it's a real theme of like about holding on, even the name of it, the shepherd's
Mm.
purse. So, and then when you look in it, all its little pods are held in this little like purse. And then the root itself is just one straight root, and it's just like really just like clinging to the ground, it's holding on. And the compounds in it, the tannins, they're real astringent and they tighten your skin if you're going to use it. And they help, they help people with, just with like lovely, have lovely tight skin or whatever. So all the plans started kind of like just showing me what they were or how we could use them and all that. And I became so obsessed with finding all these patterns that it just took me out of, where I was, and into this beautiful, beautiful journey. And now I'm kind of going, oh my God, everyone needs to go on this little nature journey because it's absolutely amazing. And I think all the wildflowers have such beautiful, it's the wildflowers though, it's not, the nice little trimmed flowers and all that. It's the
Yeah.
wildflowers is what I connect to, like the nettle, the thistle, they all have such beautiful stories to them, and they're all survivors at the end of the
Mm.
day as well. The willow herb is just like such a survivor as well, and they all kind of teach me a lesson of what I'm going through. Like yesterday, I did one on uh God Almighty, what was the name of it again? I'm gone blank now because I'm trying to think. Yeah, ask
You're
me another
okay.
question.
I watched one yesterday about
Yeah,
if a bomb went off. It was something about a
that was
bomb.
willow herb. Yeah,
Willow herb.
that's called
Yeah.
bombweed or
It's
fireweed. So the willow
indestructible.
herb, yeah, the willow
Yeah.
herb is like literally the whole story about willow herb is that it survives.
Mm.
Um, and the willow herb as well. Uh, so after the World War II, uh, this was the first flower to wildflower to bloom where the bombs hit in London. So it was known then. So there was this beautiful kind of purple flower. So, but it gave the people such hope as well because, like, it's such destruction, and now they're seeing these hundreds and thousands of these willow herbs just surviving and bringing just a bit of happiness to such devastation, And it's
Mm.
because the willow herb also has all these patterns and compounds. So its roots have a deep down underground, they have this like network of like cobwebs of like all these, it's not just when you see one willow herb, you see underneath the ground, there's thousands of like uh, they're called rhizomes. And then if one fails, another one will pop up, and another one pop up, So it's,
Mm.
everything about the willow herb is survival. And if the devastation is on the ground, it's deep down. And not only is it survival, but it's also like planning before, So if
Yeah.
something happens, that's teaching me then, like, have your roots so strong that you don't crumble or that you're able to stand up again, kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
like that's what the wildflowers teach. They
Mm.
teach resilience and because they're always there,
Mm.
and they always come back. And then the willow herb as well. My whole thing about the willow herb is because like I'd lost my phone and blah blah blah, and I was like struggling with that week. And then I was saying, like be like a willow herb because they have these seeds on the top that they produce thousands of seeds, and they all
Mm.
have this beautiful little wing. Each seed has a gorgeous little wing to it that like are silky wings that just like put them out into the air, and that's another survival, way. So another point about the willow herb is just to let go. Like when I let go of the idea that I was going to find my phone or find anything,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to. So just let it go. It's gone now. Just like go back to your roots and just start again. And that's how the wildflowers have completely just helped me. Just like I look at them and go, if they could do it, so can we.
There's about 10 life lessons you're after giving there. Uh, if you if you could slow that down and take a moment for each one. Um, I've a very analytical mind, and I want something to be nearly science based and prove to me before I believe in it.
Yeah,
Um, and I suppose, when I start getting into my own journey, um, and people were saying walk in nature or go for a walk in the woods or go to the beach. I was always thinking of the problem. I go to the woods, I'm going to get covered in shit all over the place and there'll be muck everywhere. And if I go to the beach, it's going to be sand stuck up my
yeah, but that's the
backside. And
that's the best thing. Just
right.
get covered in it. You have to let
And
go. Let go.
so
Just do it.
and and not stopping in the moment to give myself the breath of the fresh air and to smell what nature has given us, whether it be wild garlic in the forest or the smell of the sea and different things like that. And I really struggled with that for a number of years. And I was looking at stats the other day. So 24% of Americans are on an antidepressant in Europe and more specifically on the British Isles. So between England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, it's nearly 14%. Um, and I'm a firm believer that I don't understand why people, have this issue and they go to the doctor and the first approach that they try is take a medicine rather than try everything else first.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
they don't have any
suppose
other options. They don't have all the answers, I don't
what
think.
they don't believe they have any other options because there's a million
Yeah.
options out there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I suppose what I was waiting to hear from you when I start watching your videos was you were going to tell me pick a little bit of this and pick a little bit of that and mash it up and then pour some
No.
water in it and sip that and drink it 3 times a day. And then that didn't happen, and I was like, well, okay.
What
And
am
then
I
I
saying?
it wasn't actually about that, although that's an element of it maybe later on down the road, but it was about bringing it back to the moment of actually look at this, and the illustration of the piece of how it grows and what it looks like and why and how
That's
and
it. You have it. Yeah.
the root structure and things like
It's
that.
it's
And
curiosity. It's
yeah,
wonder to give yourself wonder again because you lose it, you know. And when you go like look at a wildflower, there's so much there. There's so much there. Do you know, you're how yeah, like I said, like how it grows and they're just so beautiful. Like the daisy, like it closes at night and opens in the morning. So like that's like, just like go with the flow. It's the daisy's not worrying about, like the bills and the cars and whatever, or it's not worrying about if it's, who's sitting beside it as a dandelion or thing. The daisy it just is. It just that's all wildflowers. They just are. Do you know?
yeah,
And that's what we are as well. We just are. Like when we're just if we stopped all the now I'm saying now I'm trying to do this, but like just be like a daisy. Do you know? I know it's really hard to I'm saying like it's very hard to get to that point. But like look how amazing they are that they're doing it. Do you
yeah,
know? There's something special about that. That
yeah,
they are just like I think it's in the Bible as well. And I don't know what I am or where I'm going or what, but it's just a line that Jesus said. It was like he said, look at the what was he saying? Look at the lilies. Or he said, uh, yeah, he said, look at the lilies. Like he didn't say be like a lily. He didn't say, he just said like, look at them. They're just there. They just
Yeah.
trust that everything's going to be okay. And they're just, and that's where I would love to be, but it's very hard.
I think
But
in the
still,
last, yeah, I think in the last 150 years, we've been taught how to live in a box,
yeah,
right? And I remember somebody saying this to me a number of years ago, and I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, you live in a house which is a box, and you
little
sit in a room
boxes,
which
little,
is a
you know that
box,
song? Yeah,
or you go to the office and you sit in another box."
yeah,
And our time outside is literally between box to box. It's only the movement between box to box, and we forget that the world is out there,
yeah,
and in all its glory and all the fascinating things and all the beautiful places. And it's funny when I think about all the beautiful places I've ever been in my life. It's very rarely I think about being in a box in a different country. I don't go, well, I went to Cuba and the box over there was beautiful and that was a fantastic box. I
exactly.
think about the beautiful white sand beach and,
Yeah,
the rock I picked up in the middle of the countryside to put in my back pocket to bring home with me to stick up on my shelf.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't
Uh,
bring back like anything in a box. You're going to, you bring
all
back
the memorable
nature.
pieces
Yeah,
are, I go to Granada in Spain and I go straight up the Sierra Nevada mountains because they're so beautiful. And the
yeah,
view at little dips and the cold water coming down from the melted ice, even though it's 25
exactly.
degrees out, that kind of thing. So it's fascinating, isn't it, that they're the pieces that we tend to subconsciously remember without trying to, yet then don't allow ourselves to just go out and wander around nature
Yeah.
and then wonder what's wrong with us.
Well, this is it. And like the people who I'm connecting to, like, I would just remind them, the cleaver, you used to throw it at people. That cleaver,
Mm.
that like the sticky thing. And people get so excited because they remember, like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. Or, the different names that different wildflowers have. It brings people right back to their childhood and they go, oh no, we didn't call it that. We called it something different. And it's the whole folklore then behind it as well. People go, oh no, we thought the fairies did this with it, or, this kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's like wonder, and it's like, like it's just pure. There's nothing, like it's just a place of joy, I think, and like just the I think nature gives the most beautiful memories as well, like, and you forget about them. But even if you get stung by a nettle, you're going, oh, you probably remember when you're a kid, you're going, oh, I remember that. It's just like
Well,
beautiful memories.
I
Yeah,
remember running for the dock leaves,
yeah.
but
The
isn't there
plantain is
another?
better though.
Isn't I was just going to say, isn't there another plant that's better? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, plantain is much better. So
and
even at the weekend, yeah. Say again, sorry.
why is that?
The plantain it's just there's way more compounds in it. The plantain was called white man's footprint because it literally grows wherever, it's on a kind of like it grows everywhere. But and even the this is it again. Even the main when you look at it, it has these like like strings in the leaves, so you can literally tie it around yourself to like
Oh,
so it's like a
yeah.
bandage. It's like someone made it for us to literally use it as a bandage. That's how amazing plantain is like, and the compounds in it, they're just like immense. And then it even has, do you know the seeds on it? That's really good for fiber. And so the really good thing about the plantain is it has this mucilage. So when you put the mucilage on your, so you're soothing, you're calming. It's not like the dock leaf doesn't have as much as it at all, but the plantain, it's like literally just soothes your skin. And then also, if you chew, you have to chew it to activate it, which is kind of fun as well. Do you have to get it wet, and then you put it on, and then you're laughing. But also, like, say you can use them in teas as well, and that's going to really help your throat. Do you know, like,
Okay.
like it's all out in our gardens. Do you know, it's all there. Like we're kind of running to the pharmacy, but like if you have a sore throat, go out and get a bit of self-heal, and there's all these like wildflowers with that are going to heal your cells. So we
Mm.
all know we need our cells to be okay. So like say self-heal, which is growing rampantly now out in your garden. Also dandelion is amazing. Also lady's mantle, it's a bit harder to get. But there's all these ones, what else? Nettle, oh my God, nettle. So they have this compound because plants can't run away. So they have literally have evolved or been made or whatever way you want to put it. They can like regenerate their own cells. So that compound is its phenolic kind of compound, it's called. But if it's like, scientists are doing like studies. If we drink these every day, they will heal our own cells as
Yeah.
well. Do you know? So, like,
Mm.
why aren't we doing it? Do you know? You're kind of going, so like, I'm trying, like, and I go out every day. And if you get stung by nettle, that really helps your immune system. Do you know?
Mm.
Because the nettle is both, good and bad, do you know? Like that one I did yesterday, if I can, like, I'm just going blank because,
Yeah.
um, anyway, I'll think of it, but it was a
I was
lovely
watching
story.
I was watching one of your videos last week, and my stepfather was up to visit, right? And he's a good old West Brit that's lived over here for the last 40 years, and he could hear your video in the background, right? He's 83, wouldn't be too tuned into the social medias, you know. But
Yeah,
I was watching your video, and you were talking about the nettle, and he said, I remember, now he's 83 years of age, and he said, I remember being a child in the Boy Scouts. He said, and the first thing that they taught us how to do was go out and pick nettles and make nettle tea. Right. And we sat
yeah,
there having a discussion in the kitchen for 20 minutes
yeah,
on nettles and nettle tea and the benefits of it and why and how and all that kind of stuff.
exactly. The
Just
iron you
off
get
the
from
back
that.
of watching
Yeah.
your video. So, um,
Because it's old people, like they, even for like, because, do you know, like a friend of mine, he's very old, he's like 91, but I was looking for a plantain. I couldn't find it. It wasn't as frequent in my garden, even though, anyway, I went down and I went for a walk and I found a load of it. I came back and he was sitting out in the back and he said, "Oh, you're making the green balm." And I was going, "Do you know?" Because he doesn't remember,
yeah,
he's, and I
yeah,
said, "Oh yeah, how did you make it?" So it opens up a conversation, and it
yeah,
like it's the memory of like for old people as well. You can have such a beautiful conversation about nature
yeah.
because and the wealth of wisdom that they have.
Uh,
I said, "Oh, how do you make that?" And he said, "Oh, my mother used to make it, and we used to put it on her." They knew.
yeah,
So like we've lost such
yeah.
connection with nature. But when you go back to our ancestors, like Irish people, they were just so in tune with nature and they were so like, I just like, and the beautiful kind of we were talking about the solstice and the Beltane and, like it's such a celebration, nature, but we've completely just forgotten that it's out there altogether,
Yeah.
and yeah, um, yeah,
Mm.
it's just I don't know where my point was going there, but it's just
Yeah.
that old people really just like appreciate
What
talking about it as well. Yeah.
the thing I love about your stuff is that it's on social media, and my hope is that the younger generation would see it and that it
Yeah.
would spark a curiosity in them. And you said something there, that there's something being lost.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll go back to the box analogy where they're growing up in a bedroom, or, they're constantly stuck in front of a box, which is another
Box. Yeah.
the screen. So everything is in boxes. There's boxes everywhere, and they miss, and they don't get to see and experience and see the significance and the importance of what nature has out there for us. And I suppose the other piece in all of that we haven't mentioned so far is that 99.9% of it is free. Yeah, so you
I'm
go to
trying
the
to tell
farm.
people. if you
Yeah.
get the only thing you have to get is like empty tea bags. And then literally you have herbal tea for the rest of your life. Because
Yeah.
if you have it, or else you get one of them, like, I don't like them though, them little kind of silver spoony things that holds things. And
Yeah.
literally, I go out to my garden, I get the selfie, I get a daisy, I get a whatever. Oh, and the beautiful wild rose. Do you know, like, and then there's another, like, the history. There's so much history to our wildflowers. So, do you know the wild rose in this beautiful, it's always up in the hedges so people don't notice it, but it's gorgeous and you get rose hip from it. So
Yeah.
during like the war, this the wild rose like sustained all the Irish people. It has 70% more vitamin C than oranges.
Mm.
And and so there's like accounts where people were going out and getting all these rose hips, and they were making the syrup. There's
Mm.
so much beautiful history to so that which we just walk by and don't even notice, and it's no one's fault because we
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
but that like helped millions of people,
Mm.
and I don't understand why we're not using it more. Like I'm to blame as well. Like I'm like I just want to kind of get the word out of all these kind of little tips. Now, I'm not an expert. Like, I'm completely not an expert. I'm just obsessed. So, and it's just, yeah. But like, also, like, I know an awful lot about them just from like, learning books, but I don't have any degree or anything like that. But
Mm.
like, I kind of just see it with such wonder that I think that's why people like listening to me. And
Yeah.
I'm not telling them, I am telling them like how good they are. Uh, and I know how to make a lot of things, but I'm all self-taught. And, you know, my big thing is that the lessons that the wildflowers can tell us is
Yeah.
just beautiful. And like maybe each person can go out and see for themselves. It's just like a lovely
I suppose.
necessity kind of like to learn, yeah.
What college would you have went to learn that stuff? Because I mean, it's around for thousands of years. So up
Yeah,
a 100 years ago, there was no schools, there was no college, there was no
no,
horticulture, agriculture, etc., etc. There was none of those things.
yeah,
It was sitting around in a circle, probably with a family member, whether it was your granny or your granddad or the
this is
neighbor or
it.
whoever it was, and he'd show you or she would show you
And that's
um
the beautiful
what they
thing.
had
That's
to
what
do.
that, you don't need a degree here. This is yours this is ours. This is we're one with this. This is
Yeah.
what we should like just go out and just it's there. And just kind of like go, oh my God, just to bring the wonder back because it's just so beautiful. And that
Is
like it's real natural for me because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even like when I was starting the social media. I didn't, I was at a kind of a little point in my life. I was doing a garden and I just kind of reached out a bit, kind of a thing. I didn't do it like, oh, let's do this. I've no plan at all. you know, so
yeah,
like, but it's just so beautiful, like that people are connecting to
is
the
isn't
way
that
that,
itself a
yeah,
natural journey?
yeah.
So nature being
Yeah,
natural.
this is it. It's a natural journey. Yeah. Like you couldn't make it up.
Yeah.
And you could like, but just even like, just the way they have taught me if I'm going through something, you know, um, it's just beautiful. Like they always help me.
Have you any fairy stories for us?
Uh, so it's all about the hawthorn tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
Like it's
anybody
not
that
really, this
doesn't
is all
know,
kind of,
we have a few American friends that watch this and they're intrigued by anything Irish, I suppose. And, I'd often send them reels or snippets or clips, and you hear about the fairy trees or the rings and different things like that. Uh,
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, will you?
Yeah, I will. But I mean, it's all just, so like I said, I was born on Fairy Hill.
Mm.
So this is a real life story, but it's not,
Yeah.
I don't. So the fairies have always been a massive influence in my life.
Yeah.
So I would have been like when you grow up in Ireland, you have the religion, but you also have the folklore and the fairies.
Yeah.
So like I would have always been like kind of right in the middle of the both of them kind of a thing. So I think
Mm.
Irish people all have that in their DNA. They have like fairy and religion and now everything else, you know. But like Irish people, it's in your DNA. Like you're always going to, you know, and every like anyway. So like I have a few stories about the fairies, but like just my own personal
Mm.
story. Like, you know, I was doing a video and I went, it was so beautiful. So there's a beautiful hawthorn tree just across the road. And it's like when I was sitting in the kitchen one day, I just started looking out there and it was like the tree was calling to me. And I know that sounds mad, but I'm a little bit mad. But I think, yeah, I don't mind being mad because it's just like
Yeah.
your life is kind of interesting.
Good
But I
mad.
was like, going, will I go over? Will I go over to it? Do you know? But I went over and I was like, but it was in full bloom. And then when the hawthorn tree, it's called the beltane tree, which is the May. It's also called the May bush, you know. So it all blooms in May. So when I went over there, uh, all the flowers were in bloom, and it's beautiful vast amount of flowers and the smell of them is amazing. But when it was kind of this windy day that like when the wind shook, the trees and the flowers just started falling. And they all looked like just little fairies. Like it was absolutely beautiful. And then I went looked underneath the tree. Have you ever seen underneath a hawthorn tree?
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's amazing. This one was so beautiful. It was all twisted and turned, and it looked like literally a portal to another world. And then there was this one little leaf, not yeah, a petal of the flower that was just twisting and turning, and it was hung by like a cobweb. And literally, it was just like empty, except for the real twisty birds. And then there was this one little, and it was like this one little fairy twisting and turning around, you know, just to say hi. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like this is my whole wonder: is there anything there? Like why for generations have people said, you know, like why they move entire motorways to not, you
Mm.
know, hurt a hawthorn tree?
Yeah.
Like, and people, like, you feel energy
Mm.
when you're there.
Yeah.
So what is that? That's my big thing. What is that? That's my wonder. That's my curiosity. Is there more to what? Another thing, I was really just like, there's so, like, all that is seen and unseen. That's the fairies to me. And our creator and everything else with it. Because there's so much to this world that's unseen that we don't know. Like even oxygen bubbles, they're everywhere. We don't see them. You
Yeah.
know, like there's so what else is out there that we just don't see?
So before we started recording, we just touched on a couple of little things. So we mentioned it's just we just went past the summer solace the other day,
Yeah,
longest day of the year. And we talked about Loch Crew down in County Meath, beside Oldcastle there, and it's solaces for the spring and the autumn, and obviously we have Newgrange for the winter and stuff like that. And
beautiful. Yeah,
you know, we have all these significant sites around Ireland and the mythology behind it. And you know, I only live 5-10 minutes away from the Hill of Tara here,
oh,
and
beautiful. Yeah,
I remember the first time I went to the Hill of Tara many years ago when I arrived there, and I was out in the middle of a field, and I thought, is that it? What did they send me down here for? I'm standing in the middle of cowshide in a field. What am I missing here? What am I missing? And I went off with myself, and it was many years before I returned. And I remember going back up, and even more so recently, and going out and just standing in the middle of the field in the presence, knowing that that's where all the high kings from Ireland sat, and looking at the stones that are there thousands of years and the tomb that's there. and the way the solace is goes in and lights up the tomb, and the significance of that, it predates any I suppose Christianity in Ireland, and the stories around it, and how the Irish lived, and the folklore, and all of that that comes along with that, and how we are so quick to dismiss it.
Yeah.
But when you see the intelligence that was there thousands of years ago in Ireland, um, and it's still at our fingertips if we want it.
Yeah, that's why
It's
I
still
don't want us
there.
to lose it. Do you know? I don't want us to, because I think the world could have gone down a very different route. It could have, like, I don't know what that is, but maybe, if we all were the herbal medicine and, like mushrooms. I'm not saying I'm a big, but like there's so much to it. Like and just to be able to, I don't know, to understand what's really going on. But sure, I don't know. Do you know, like
Will we
it's
ever
one of them
figure
things.
it out?
Huh?
Will we ever figure it out? Tell us a bit. I know you make other stuff in the background. You make a few candles, and you do stuff with beeswax and stuff like that. Do you have bees?
I have bees, yeah, yeah. Now, at the moment, actually, I'm really the beeswax is amazing, but you have to,
Mm,
like, if you want to make balms for yourself, it's really easy. Actually, I'll tell you how to make it. So I make lovely wildflower balms. So say if you want, like, say if your kid has eczema or anything like that, because my little boy has eczema. So what you try to do is you get your local beeswax because that's going
yeah,
to be the best for you. And then you use like a carrier oil that would be, suitable for sensitive skin. That would be like, say, uh, like rosehip oil. That's really good. And you just literally infuse, say, plantain. That's really good for eczema. Or what else? There's chickweed out there is really good as well. So you just infuse the dried herb into the oil for about like 10 days. And then you remove the herbs or the wildflowers. And then you literally just melt your beeswax, you add in your oil, and boom, there you go. You have this gorgeous natural healing balm, for your skin, which is absolutely so natural and it's so amazing for you. Um, and then at the moment, I'm doing a peat mask. So, for like, so I'm right beside Croghan Hill, and Croghan Hill is, I don't know, have you ever heard of Croghan Hill?
no,
It's absolutely amazing. So, did you know that Ireland has volcanoes? So, Croghan Hill was once a volcano, now an ancient one, but
yeah,
it's still there.
mm,
And it's this amazing kind of like it's an amazing place. It's gorgeous, and it's
mm,
they say the St. Patrick went up it, and St. Bridget, and there's all these folklore stories that are just everyone's interested in them because they're just so, like, what's going on there.
mm,
But in Croghanhill anyway, they found a 2,000-year-old bog man in the peat.
okay,
But the guy who found him, uh, he called the police because he thought he was just after being, you
yeah,
know yeah, but he was 2,000 years old, and he seemed to be some sort of, king or something. He's up in the museum in Dublin.
okay,
It's yeah, it's amazing. But what I'm trying to say, I was going, "Sure, would that not be really good for your skin?" So
mm.
I did all the research and all that, and, the peat, it's amazing for your skin, absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna be doing the peat mask. That's my end of my
I was
story,
on
yeah.
a I was on a stag do in Spain many years ago, and I literally decided on a Friday I was going to go to Spain. I took off anyway the next day, unpromptu holiday, arrived, went over to some friends over there, and didn't realize an old friend of mine was getting married the following week, and my stag is in 2 days. You have to come with me. So anyway, we go out on the tear for the night, and we finish up at about 6:30 in the morning, just as the sun is about to rise. And I thought we were going home. And the next thing, they start driving up into the hills, right? And we drove up into the middle of 6 million olive trees. And I'm saying to the
Lovely.
guy, "Where are we going?" And he's like, "Don't be worrying about it. Just just bear with us." And we're literally driving up this mucky track up into the middle of nowhere in the middle of the mountains. And I kept asking, where are we going? And they were laughing at me and, you'll see now in a minute, you'll see now in a minute. So as we got up this hill anyway, this smell came into the car and it was stinking. It was disgusting, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
Jeannie, Mac, what is the smell? And they were like, it's okay, don't worry about it. Come on, right? And I was bewildered. So it turns out anyway, the smell was sulfur, right?
Volcano.
And we went up to a volcanic spring, right? So as we arrived, and it was nearly 7 o'clock in the morning at this stage, as we arrived at this natural volcanic spring, there was a couple of local farmers getting out of it in their nip right before they went to work. They were getting in and having their dip, as you do, out in the middle of the countryside. And so they're kind of, morning lads, Now, I was
Yeah.
severely hungover at this stage because I've been out on the tear for about 12 hours. And
Yeah.
we got into this volcanic spring, and the guys were picking up the kind of silt at the bottom of it, and rubbing it into themselves. And they were like, try it kind of a muck. And we kind of washed ourselves in this volcanic spring, and it was literally coming down from a waterfall. So it was coming out from above and coming down into a big, huge pool, and then it ran down like a little river out the other side. So the water was kind of being recycled, and we were able to stand in underneath this waterfall. And I've been back to it since a few times. I have a few photographs of it. But beautiful, beautiful. It was like hot bath water.
Yeah.
But we were in it for about 20 minutes, and I can't even explain how alive I felt getting out of this thing. I mean, it was completely and utterly revitalized. It was like a new man. It was like a new penny getting out of this thing after about 20 minutes
Wow.
in it. The
It was the hangover cure.
Oh, 110%. Yeah, it gave me energy. I felt revived. I just felt absolutely brand new. It was like I hadn't been out at all. Fully
God.
energized. And I often wondered afterwards, you know, was
What was it?
is that in my imagination or did that really happen? And I've been back to it since. And like that now, I've went back in normal times. I went up during the daytime or in the morning with a good night's sleep on me. But like that, and we actually brought some of the muck with us, saved it, and
Wow. I put it in
like
the
that,
water.
using it for face masks and things like
That's
that.
what I mean, yeah. The men
Yeah,
can like, it's definitely for the men
shouldn't
too,
we
because
admit to that on the
no,
Yeah,
I love it. I
yeah.
love, but this is it,
To me,
like,
that's
because
why I
it's
look so young.
ancient. It's
Yeah,
ancient. There's something
yeah.
more powerful when something is natural,
Nature at
made
its
of,
best.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's ancient. And even like when I go down to the bog, I was doing a bog garden. I still am, but bindweed is kill. Oh my God, I won't even talk about the bindweed. But like I kind of turned over, it was all kind of just brambles and just a mess of like, not a mess, it was beautiful, but it was like really, really like rugged. You couldn't do anything in there. So I wanted to start a little bog garden of wild things, see what's going to grow there.
Mm,
Uh, but we kind of just moved a bit of this, and when you unearth what's underneath the bog, so there's the most beautiful stones there, and they like loads of them have like shells in them. So that just shows me the bog just tells you so much. So when I picked up a stone, there was iron, this beautiful kind of red purple iron stone, and then when you look into it, so iron, every piece of iron that's on Earth came from a supernova in the sky, even in our bodies. So like we are literally made of stars, do you know? So like that's the truth. Like
mm,
so all like that's scientifically proven. Like all iron had to have come from a supernova. And boom, I was holding on to one in the bog because, it was there. And then on the same stone from the supernova was like marks of what is it called? Bronchiopods and crinoids from our first living ancestors,
mm,
when the earth began millions of years ago. So I had a stone that the bog had kept with iron and, ancient creatures. And I
mm.
was looking at it. And then I was going, like, isn't that amazing? Do you know that the bog tells you so much? just to kind of like, you just look at it and go, okay, well, Ireland was in a tropical place millions of years ago, and I'm after unearthing an iron stone that came from a supernova with like these beautiful creatures on it. How could you not be amazed
Yeah.
when you actually look?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Or more importantly, I think when you give yourself the time to stop and think about it and look.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I done a piece of work with somebody a while ago, and they said to me over and over again, "I don't have time. I don't have time." You know, no matter what
yeah.
I suggested to them, "I don't have time. I don't have time. I have two young kids. I've no time. Single mom. I'm busy. I'm working. I'm mom. You know, wash clothes, make the
Bring
dinner,
your
make the
kids
break."
with you.
And I said to them, "How do you get to work?" "I walk." I said, "How far away is work?" 15 minutes. I said, "Okay. Do you get a lunch break?" "Yeah." I said, "What do you do in your lunch break, or what do you do in your breaks?" "I go out to the laneway and I smoke." I said, "What's in the laneway?" "Nothing. There's a bit of a lane. There's a few trees. There's a bit of grass." Right?
Trees.
I said, "Okay. So you have a half an hour a day to appreciate nature because you're outdoors because you're walking to work." So I
Yeah,
said, "Is there any trees on the way to work?" "Yeah." I said, "Okay." I said, "So there's birds in the trees." I said, "Did the birds ever make a noise in the trees while you're walking to work?" "Yeah, I'm sure they do." I said, "So you haven't noticed, but yes, they do," is the answer. So I
yeah,
said, "Did you ever," I said, "is it windy?" Sometimes." I said, "So you feel the breeze on your face then?" "Yeah." I said, "Okay." I said, "And you can, when it's raining, can you actually notice how the sensation of the rain hitting your face?" And yeah, I said, "Okay. So is that not a form of grounding?
yeah.
Appreciating nature, listening to
To
the rustling of
notice,
the leaves,
to notice.
to notice. That's it. So it's not
Yeah,
that you don't. It's there. You just don't notice it.
yeah.
You don't give yourself the attention span." I said, "What do you do when you're standing out in the laneway having your fag on your lunch break?" "Nothing."
On your
I
phone.
said, "Okay. Could you listen to the rustling of the trees? Could you appreciate the air on your face, etc., etc.?" So I think it's about giving ourselves those moments.
Yeah.
How many people do you reckon run up to the forest up the road on a nice day like today and walk through the forest and get out the other side and didn't stop for 5 minutes to pick
Yeah.
up a
And
plant
that's
or
the
look at a bit
because
of wild garlic
too much
or
in the nature just like I just feel a call into it as well. It's like I can't stay in the house anyway. I'm like literally I have to be out. And then when I'm out, you know, you just feel well, I just feel at peace. Maybe, I hope I'm not the only one. I think like people just I just feel nature is calling us back, going, hello, I'm here.
yeah,
And like I said, like the wildflowers, they just are. Like that's how to they just trust that everything's gonna be okay. They're not worried about.
yeah. I'd be shocked if 20% of kind of 6 to I don't know 15-year-olds these days knew how to make a daisy chain.
Yeah, that's what I love. So I've a lovely story. So there's a beautiful community here. They're the Mennonites. I think they're Mennonites, but they wear all the old clothing.
Okay.
And they're just amazing people, absolutely amazing people. And I made friends with a few of the mamas there, and they're absolutely, but they're amazing. But uh, my friend, she just asked, could I do like a little foraging like lesson because they're all homeschooled as well
Yeah,
for the kids. And
yeah,
I said, oh my God, absolutely. And the joy and the happiness. And I brought my son with me, and we were all running around. You should have seen us. There was we're all wearing like the old style clothing, right? And we were in the bog, and there was kids everywhere. And I was going, oh, mother of baby Jesus now is like it's just everyone everywhere, and little kids and big kids, and the joy that they have, and they were hiding under mound, like doing this, doing that. And kids like they don't think about it. Like they're more, they just are as well, like wildflowers. They just be. They're
yeah.
not worrying about, oh God, we have to get home now and we have to do this, and oh Lord, I've no money for this, and I'm blah blah blah. Like, I don't know.
The beauty of
If
the
we could all just find that, like, in the moment, like a kid, or like a wildflower. Kids, like even at like, my little son, he's absolutely amazing. But like, I have him played out coming out with me, and sometimes he doesn't want to, and you have to accept that. But like when he's there, they don't think about things. They don't, they just are, and that's so it was just a beautiful kind of I've had so many lovely days, like, because I'm like, the minute my friends come, I'm going, come on, we're going for a walk. And they go, okay, okay. Because they, and then the next thing, we are making a little bonfire on the bog. We're having prawns on a barbecue in the bog, or, we're falling into, oh my God, like, I don't know how many times I have fallen into things, or, or got scraped or cut. And like, my friends always go, like, there's always an adventure if you
Yeah,
go out, you know,
yeah,
there's no, to me, like, if you're not outside, you're not living really. Do you know? Like you have to be. I'm just like, oh, I need to get out. I need to get out. And I don't know what that is about me, but I'm just need to be out,
yeah,
or else I am like go mad.
yeah.
So
The fresh air and nature and all those things. For me, I know when I feel cooped up, or I know when I need a break,
yeah,
and the bills need to be paid and work has to be done.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. There's a bit.
but
I'm a bit too much there sometimes. I need to be good,
we
but
get very
we get there.
consumed by it, and the lazy thought for me is, and it doesn't happen anymore. But the lazy thought for me is, okay, I'm finished work now. I'll go in and put my feet up and watch telly. So I go
Yeah,
from the computer screen
I can't watch telly at all.
to I couldn't tell you. I don't actually own a telly anymore, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Good.
um, but yeah, I know now. Even if it's only 15, 20 minutes, go on a walk.
Yeah,
I'm reasonably close to the countryside. I mean, I live in a house
yeah.
in the
You're
state,
living in
but
a
I'm in
gorgeous area.
County
Yeah,
Leitrim. I'm in a small town, and I can be in nature within 5 minutes. And there's a little stream, a little river down the road, and there's
I love
it's
streams.
called the River Walk actually, and there's a little forest by it, and it's
Yeah.
5 minutes away from here, and it's 15 minutes long. So it's kind of less than
Oh,
an
that's
hour round
lovely.
trip to walk up and back. And the difference in how I feel, just again stopping and watching and listening and picking
Yeah,
stuff up and all of that. And you kind of, you nearly want to inject it into some people.
yeah.
Come here, look, this is what you need.
I know. But
Um,
you know what? Like, I'd love to give like people just a little kind of so like, I just urge you maybe, or I dare you, or I maybe just a little mission to go out into nature and see which one calls to you, what plant, wildflower or wild thing calls to you. And then when you see what calls to you, then just do like a little bit of research on it. Why did it call to you? Maybe it has a lesson to tell you. So
uh,
look at the plants, how it grows, the patterns, how it looks, its name, its folklore, and
uh,
then you'll get this beautiful kind of a story on what it means to you.
uh.
And it's just like a little mission for people, and it's a
That's a
it's a
lovely
lovely,
little challenge, actually. I like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's a beautiful day out, and I'm absolutely baked here at the minute, and I'm dying to get
I
out.
know, I know, I know.
Love the sunshine. But that's a little mission for myself this afternoon.
Yeah, see what
Uh,
which one calls you. Let me know
I
because
will.
I
Do.
have a great,
I
yeah,
definitely,
let me know because I'll be able to help you
definitely will.
if you want.
Um, Question for you. This is the Really Heal podcast, and I know everybody's healing journey is different, and I love that as well. Um, I don't believe there's one recipe cures everything. Everybody has their own journey and their own
Yeah,
healing journey, and you know what that looks like for them. But if I was to ask you, what does being, or what is really healed, and what does it mean to you? What would your answer to that be?
peace of mind and really healed. I don't think we're ever really healed and still have curiosity and
It's a
wonder.
journey, not a destination.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And that's what nature was to me. They're journeys.
Yeah.
Like every, you see, I like today, like even from last week, I'm different.
Mm.
Do because the wildflowers they're teaching me these. lessons. But not only that, life is teaching me lessons as well, but I'm helping being healed by the wildflowers, you know?
Yeah.
So just a journey. I could say something different next week because
Of
no
course.
one ever, I suppose being really healed is to know that never stop learning because the next lesson might be even better than the last kind of a thing. And it
Yeah.
usually is. And
Yeah.
all God's timing, you know,
Yeah.
if you're not ready for something, like I wasn't ready for whatever, like, but then when I was and I struggled and I got through it, you know, then I was
Mm.
healed, you know,
I
or
I
not
done a
healed,
video
but like I learned the lesson.
I done a video the
So
other day on giving ourselves a break and going easy on ourselves because we learn a lesson today, it gives us a realization, and then we beat ourselves up for being stupid in the past, but we hadn't
yeah,
learned that lesson back then.
this is it.
So
Yeah,
why would we beat ourselves up over something that happened in the past when we hadn't yet learned the lesson? And then the
yeah.
question is asked, well, what did the lesson teach me that I needed to learn? So maybe that had to have happened in order for me to have learned the lesson
That's it.
to know what I
That's what I was trying to say.
that's the journey, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's the
yeah.
journey. It's the
And
journey.
people say that to me all the time about the name really healed, and they go, well, you're never really, really healed. And the answer to that is you're correct because, you can be really healed with something today and tomorrow something else will happen. So the journey starts
Yeah,
again. It maybe goes in a
yeah,
different direction or something like that. And that's okay. Um, for me, being really healed is um, knowing that no matter what, that healing is there. And,
yeah,
and that looks like a million different things in a million different ways to a million different people. And that's okay.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
the discovery piece. It's the journey.
yeah.
And,
It's the
even
journey.
speaking to you, for me, speaking to you today is there's another little piece to the jigsaw of life,
Yeah,
the tapestry of life. There's another little strand that goes through. Uh,
yeah,
and I suppose for the podcast, it's about letting other people know. Go and discover it for yourself and find out
yeah.
what it means to you.
Exactly.
Um,
Good work.
let me see. Um, I think we did touch on it, but if I was to ask you to give a very quick, synopsis of what grounding means to you, what would you say to people? Or how could they find them, an easy form of grounding, or what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, again, it's just like about that journey, go out and feel nature and touch it. And like grounding to me is like, taking off your shoes and walking on the grass, but
Yeah,
also hugging a tree and laughing in like being with someone sitting in a bog, having a cup of tea, trying to make a fire. That's grounding
yeah,
where you're thinking about something other than what's in your head, like as in like your and community, and then the
no.
beautiful thing is like when you look at a wildflower, just look at it. Just like look at it. It's so
The
beautiful and the sacred
intricacy of it.
geometry in it.
Yeah,
Like these beautiful circles. And there's so much of that. There's so many patterns of these like circles. What does that mean?
uh,
The circle is no beginning, no end. It
yeah,
also is the shape of all the planets, but it's also in our eyes and it's also in every single plant that, not every single plant, but like
but yeah,
they pack, the circle can mean, it's a really good way to store everything, but it's also like spiritually like is it the creator, is that his symbol,
mm,
it makes you wonder like what's going on, like why is it everywhere? This is the questions that go on in my head. I stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning wondering about like these, you know I don't know, like something in the bog. Oh yeah,
yeah,
like trying to understand how a bog works. That took me a while, do you know and just when you get to it, like, did you know the bog? Like there's three things to make a bog. You need sphagnum moss, you need water, but you need the lack of oxygen.
Okay.
So because oxygen, if that got into the bog, the peat,
Mm.
then it would all just be gone. But
Yeah.
because the water and the sphagnum moss have these two cells, they have one empty cell that fills in with water. So it just like, and it's a sponge, so the oxygen can't get in. So without the moss and without the water, the oxygen would get in and you wouldn't have a bog. So
Mm.
I was going, that's freaking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
it took me what, yeah, do you know, like, well, you have to go down, like, like just ask the questions. That's grounding because
Yeah.
you're suddenly focusing on something else that
Yeah.
isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The natural antidepressant,
Yeah.
you know,
Curiosity.
in the world of anxiety, stress, burnout, depression, and how important do you think the mind, body, soul, spirit is? What's that mean to you?
Mind, body, soul. So I think I am, like, you have to have a balance, of course, but like, I am very just spiritual. I'm always trying to find the meaning of everything. The mind, then my mind, like, I just have ADHD and I'm massively disorganized, trying to organize everything. It's a bit like, Mia, the person. I am a mother and I am trying to get organized, and I have a son, and I have, and I'm a worrier and I'm a thinker and all that. And then Mia, the bog fairy, is just complete wonder, and like, bringing Milo out and we're just laughing and jumping around in in nature, and it's wonderful. And then, Emberwisp then is like, okay, I have to try and, you know, make a living for myself and my son, this kind of thing. So it's all that. So mind, body, and spirit is a bit like, like, it's the organization, and the disorganization is the curiosity, and it's the wonder, and it's the hope, and it's the everything. Do you
Yeah.
know, that's my answer or idea of it, but it's everything all together. It's just one.
Very
And
much.
I don't think you can separate them really, not in this lifetime.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Um, Again, I think for me, it's sometimes in the chaos of life and the busyness, remembering to stop and give myself those moments where I can take a minute. Uh,
yeah,
a friend of mine asked me recently because we, come up in conversation, and he said, "Do you pray?" And I said, "Not in the traditional sense, but yes is the answer." You know,
yeah,
and I don't mean to be disrespectful or to hurt anybody's feelings, but sometimes my prayer is, "What the fuck is going on here?" you know,
yeah, yeah,
what the fuck?
yeah,
Um, can that be a prayer? Yeah, of course it can. If he's all knowing, if we're talking about a higher power, or a god, or a god, or whatever you want to, as your spirit or whatever, if he's omnipotent, or he or she, whatever it is, if it's omnipotent and omnipresent, which means it's all knowing and everywhere at all times, they know what goes on inside my head already. So,
exactly.
um,
That's a very good point. And like, as well, like, when I was going out on my journeys, I was always calling, like, I never seen, I never felt you, God. I never felt, I don't feel you. And then I kept like looking at the wildflowers, and it gave me that focus.
uh,
And then I realized, just one day, it was like, but sure, I'm looking at creation. I'm looking at the creator, like something, like, not something like a creator created this. I see it in every single wildflower and every single, like, it's perfect. Like, when you look at a daisy, when you look at a thistle, if you look at,
yeah,
like, it's perfect. Like, just like, and everything goes in. I was looking at a thistle, and the middle of it with all its seeds is just like this perfect, beautiful circle
mm,
that never, they're everywhere.
yeah,
And then even if you look at the branches coming out, they come out in a spiral.
yeah,
It's a circle as well.
yeah.
Do you
Circle
know?
of
And you're
life.
going,
Yeah.
yeah. So everything, not everything, but like a lot of wildflowers, and then different wildflowers, if they are grow differently, there's always a reason.
Mm,
Do you know? You can see the reason,
yeah.
and it's always just perfect.
Mm.
Do you know? And you're going, like something had to have made this.
You
But that's
reminded
me.
me, you reminded me of something there. I was asked, it must be nearly 20 years ago, would I like to go on a retreat, a men's retreat? And it was about 20 of us went up the north to this retreat, and it was hosted by a small group from Belfast, in one of the estuaries up near the north. I'm trying to think of where it was exactly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we were on this retreat, and the retreat was, the title of the weekend was called The Father Heart of God. And I wouldn't have been very spiritual at the time. I wasn't, certainly wasn't religious or anything like that, but we went up to this retreat anyway. And the gentleman on the Saturday, so Friday was kind of an introduction, and they told us what the weekend would be about. And then on the Saturday, he brought us out to the garden. And I remember, about 20 men sitting in a circle, and he sits us all down on the grass on a nice summer's day. And he went over and picked a couple of roses from a rose plant and brought them back and passes them around the circle, right? And the only question he asked initially was, "What do you see?" Uh, you know, a rosebud. What do you want me to say? And we passed it around anyway. And when it kind of done the lap and everybody had had a look at it, he said, "Now look at how intricately the leaves overlap each other.
Circle.
Pick a petal and squish it between your hands and smell the scent." And he said, "Do you believe that just grew out of the wild, or do you believe it was created by something?
Yeah.
And look how
Yeah.
intricate it is, and why is it so beautiful? And look at the color and the texture and the contrast and
Oh yeah,
everything."
he
And
sounds like
he
a
brought in
guy
all
who's
the
yeah.
senses, and it really made me sit there at the time. And as I said, it wasn't at all spiritual or you know um religious by any stretch of the imagination, but I remember sitting there on the day going, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
And
me every day.
little piece kicked in there and made you have that realization, okay, yeah, okay, well, don't know what it is that I'm seeing here, but something, you
It's
know
of all that's seen and unseen
all the scenes are the
where,
same.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because I went through a whole day of like just go like, there's so much to the world that is unseen, but that spark of creation, that's the real unseen.
mm,
And we don't know
mm,
what it is.
yeah,
But there is that spark. That's
there
like
definitely
what
is.
makes a
Yeah,
nettle grow, what makes it survive, what makes it,
yeah,
what like, you can understand all the evolution and all that,
mm,
or all the why, or how it evolved. But before that, like what makes it want to like
mm.
survive? We don't know.
Yeah. I suppose we've spent, I suppose, the last hour talking about the plants and the wildlife and the bog and stuff like that. And before we come on, I told you I found myself deeply amused in all the right ways the other night watching one of your videos about you down visiting the cows. And I suppose not to leave without mentioning all the wildlife that's out there, whether it is the birds or the bees or the cows,
The
or the sheep or
cows,
the
they're
horses,
great.
or,
Oh, the cows are amazing.
you know,
Yeah, the cows are brilliant, and they're so. When you look in the eyes of a cow,
mm,
did you ever do that?
I have,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what did you see?
And I'm talking about the four-legged kinds now, not the,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Do you know, when you look at
yeah,
like, you know, kindness, curiosity,
yeah. Generally gentle giants,
gentle. Yeah.
yeah,
Like I did one, I was and they're so curious. If you just stand at a fence, they would all walk over to you. Like I dare you to try it
yeah,
because you stand at a fence with a load of cows, and within 2 minutes they're all looking around and they're all walking over to you to see what's going on. Isn't
yeah.
that so beautiful? Yeah, they're just a beautiful, beautiful
I
animal,
remember
and
a group
so
of
special.
calves
They're really, really
and
amazing.
sucking my
And they like Kanye
hand,
West.
and feeling
Oh,
feeling the cow, sucking my fingers to try and see was there milk inside me or something. But the feeling and yeah, the smile it brings to your face, um,
yeah,
just being able to connect again with wildlife and with nature and Yeah,
Yeah,
wildlife. Yeah,
wildlife is amazing.
mm,
That's another kettle of fish.
it is.
Kettle of fish, not fish.
Maybe that's a podcast for the next day. Uh,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So before we go, sorry, before we go, Mia, tell us, where can we find you? Have you anything going on at the moment that we need to hear about? Tell us about where we can find you on any social media or anywhere else. Or yeah, if we're
Yeah,
looking for you,
I'm on
we're looking for you.
Facebook.
Where do we get you?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just making all them mad videos about what I'm seeing in wildflowers, and it's amazing the people I'm connected to. But I'm on Facebook. It's Emberwisp, 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 and then Instagram as well, and then on TikTok as well. But I've also a Bog Fairy circle, and I'd love people to. So on my social media, there's a link for buy me a coffee, and you can join my Bog Fairy circle. And today is a really special day. Actually, it's St. John's Eve.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've a lovely story about a beautiful plant in the bog. It's really significant. So it's called a sundew.
Mm.
If you ever heard of it, and actually our festival in the village uh, was the Sundew Festival, and kind of they wanted a theme, and I said, why don't you call it the Sundew? Because St. John's Eve is today. Now our festival was last week,
Okay.
but anyway, if you find the sundew, the sundew in alchemy is the living representation of the elixir of life. So they always wanted to know how to live forever and eternal health and eternal all that. Their representation of this on earth was the sundew. And they say that if you find the sundew on St. John's Eve, that you'll live forever.
I'm going out looking
So
for it after this.
so go on, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So exactly. So St. John's Eve, that's what I'm going out. So I'm going to do a little a live video maybe. People might want to come and find the sundew with me, and you have to walk backwards to it. You can't go forwards to it. There's all these little traditions. But
Okay.
it's just yeah, it's just I love creating magic around nature, and also but it's there already.
Mm.
Like our ancestors were doing this,
Yeah.
so it's just to kind of bring it back.
Mm.
And nature, I think nature is really calling us back, but it's not calling us back to, to go backwards. It's calling us back to remember
Mm.
that we're all one.
For
And
the
that's
here
the
and the
whole,
now. Yeah.
huh?
For the here and the now.
Exactly. We're all one. We're all
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And that's all what I'm trying to say, I suppose. Nature called me back, and just want everyone to feel a bit of the joy that I did there, and so much to it. But yeah,
There is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So join my Bog Fairy circle because you'll have great fun.
Yeah. Very good. Mia, thank you so much. There was loads and loads of great stuff in all of that. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to listening back to this actually,
Brilliant.
when we're finished, and having a listen again. And it's the joys of having to edit a podcast afterwards. You get to listen back to
Oh
it,
yeah.
really tune in. So really looking forward to that. But thank you once again for joining us today. It was lovely having you.
Thank you for asking
And
me.
thanks for everybody that's tuning in. And yeah, welcome to the Really Healed podcast. And we'll be back with you shortly.
Thank you.